Hey there, it's Wayfair here, where delivery and setup are as easy as a few taps on your phone. You're relaxing in an old hammock, scrolling Wayfair's app, when you spot it, a brand new patio set. Next thing you know, Wayfair delivers it right to your patio and sets it up. Oh, you need a new grill too? All right, Wayfair's got you covered. With Wayfair's Room of Choice delivery and fast expert setup on qualifying orders, life gets a little easier. Visit wayfair.com or the Wayfair app.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
Joe. Joe.
Joe on Joe is the only podcast where Joe talks about Joe. And now, your host, Joe Slepsky.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome back to Joe on Joe. It is me, your host, Joe Slepsky, and I am excited to be talking with you today for two reasons. One, we're doing episode 8 of G.I. Joe Renegades. It's called Busted, and it's really good, and it's fun. It doesn't connect into the bigger picture, but it's just a fun episode. And more than that, I'm so excited to bring back our guest today. I looked up in the archives, and Paul Siddoway, who is my fabulous, talented guest, hasn't been on this show since 2017. It's been a 9-year hiatus. It's like when some comedian offended Johnny Carson, and he'd like, you can't be on my show for 6 years until you kiss the ring. That's not it at all. It's just life gets in the way, and all of a sudden time flies and a pandemic happens, and you stay in touch over socials. And I'm like, oh yeah, I know Paul Siddoway. Yeah, he comes on the show. And then you look at the details and you're like, that was 2017. So man, I'm really happy to have this. He was a great guest. Really nice guy, really swell dude. We did an awesome episode last time where Cobra, infiltrated. They sent an email to G.I. Joe that promoted the wrong people, and it was a really, really good episode of the old school Sunbow series. So we're going to continue that trend. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the show, Mr. Paul Siddoway. Paul, welcome back to Joe on Joe.
Thank you for having me, Joe.
So excited. First off, I forget, I listened to most of the episode, but I forgot to shoot to the end. What was your nickname that we gave you? What was your G.I. Joe code name?
Well, so this was so long ago that I think that at the time it wasn't so much like, oh, if you were on the G.I. Joe team, like, who would you be? It was just, come up with a nickname. And I think it was based on something that happened in that episode. There was this cool, amphibious vehicle that Cobra had, and like, oh, that would have been a cool toy, and and I could be the driver because this is the episode that I'm on, and the name we came up with was like Riptide.
Okay,
that's a cool name, and it would be a cool name for a driver for a cool vehicle.
Sure.
And is that necessarily me? I don't know. But I don't know if you want to get into that now.
We'll get into it later. I was just asking it because I couldn't recall, but we will absolutely get into that later because, like all great characters, they get to reinvent themselves.
Sure.
Stalker comes back as Sergeant Stalker.
That's not much of a change.
No, it's not. But he got a promotion.
But there are in the G.I. Joe line, there are some characters who, and now I can't off the top of my head think of them. Like, do you remember Robo Joe from?
I do.
So, whatever his file name is, they reused that file name for someone else.
Right.
And so, my headcanon has always been that guy got injured, and then when they rebuilt him like RoboCop, they called him Robo Joe.
Oh, that's true. That's totally true. That's probably, yeah. Well, I was just thinking that, like, I can't think of any other Joes that have just straight up changed their Joe name, but I can think of instances where they've reused the Joe name and given it to other people, right?
Because like Dusty, that happened to in like the 2000s.
Yeah, so that's funny, but I can't think of any that's been the other way around, where like Robert W. Graves is like, I'm done being Grunt. Now call me, Maximilian. I don't know, whatever.
Yeah.
So, but I just saw the Mortal Kombat movie, and like Sub-Zero's like, I'm not Sub-Zero anymore. I am now something. And he changed his name. I don't remember what it was. So we can do that. So we're gonna do that today. We're gonna rebrand you for the Renegades era is what we're gonna do, and I love it. Although Riptide, that's a great name too.
It is a great name.
Yeah. So
anyone who's creating a toy line out there, feel free to name some aquatic character Riptide.
Yeah. And also a wonderful TV show that I used to love, the big pink helicopter.
I'll be honest, that one passes me by. That's not something I'm.
Oh, Riptide was a cool show. It doesn't have like the retro cachet of like the A-Team or Knight Rider or Magnum PI kind of a thing. Like didn't reach that level, but it was two cool dudes, like picture like a Han and a Luke and a nerd. And the nerd, they lived on a houseboat and they flew a big pink helicopter, and the helicopter had a really cool name too. It was like the Betty.
So you're saying it's Han Solo, Luke Skywalker, and C-3PO.
Yeah. That's actually it. That is actually it. Yeah, that's the design. And they solved crimes, It was Joe Penny, not Joe Perry. It was Aerosmith's Joe Perry. No, it was Joe Penny.
I was going to ask.
Yeah.
And then I assumed that you meant Joe Pesci.
No, it was Joe Penny.
Joe Perry.
Joe Penny, who also, I believe, was Jake from Jake and the Fat Man. And then the blonde guy, I forget what his name was. And I think the nerd was it Carradine for the French? Oh, I don't know. Anyway, you old heads know what Riptide was, but it never really gained that status. It never really crossed that kind of threshold of like, holy cow. But we watched a lot of Riptide. Anyway, this isn't Riptide talk. We're going to save that for the What's on Joe Mind podcast. That's where the Riptide talk belongs.
They would love to dig into that.
Yeah. So we're going to catch up with you, Paul. I was so delighted you reached out. And listeners, if you want to be a guest, whether you've been an old guest, new guest, whatever, or never a guest, it's super easy. We get on a Zoom call and we just talk just like this. You can email me at joeonjoepod@gmail.com or DM me on any of the socials. It's always at joeonjoepod. And say hi, whatever, etc., all that stuff. But if you want to be a guest on the show and you got an episode of Renegades that you really love coming up, do it, man. We'll make it happen. It's going to be so much fun. And that's what Paul did. Paul reached out. Now, last time we spoke, Paul, you since then, you've had a big change in life. Back in the day, you were living in Salt Lake City. You were doing medical telehealth, and you've now changed that now. So where are you located now, and what are you doing?
Yeah. So I had been working, doing marketing for telehealth services. During the pandemic, the hospital system I worked for just said, hey, you know what? If you're not a doctor, if you're not a nurse, you can kind of do your job from anywhere. So feel free. I think there was like Hawaii and New Jersey that they said, we don't have the HR paperwork for you to work from there, but anywhere else, feel free. So we had family in DC, we had family in Raleigh, we had family out in Norfolk, and so we just said, we don't know anybody in Richmond, but it's kind of in the middle of where we do have family, so we'll move to Richmond. And so, we packed up our stuff, sold a lot of it, and just decided to take a chance. And so now we live in the Richmond area. And, corporate's going to corporate. And so I left the healthcare world. But, I still wanted to do something that meant something that I could make a difference in people's lives. And so I'm using my same marketing skill set. But now I work for my county police department. So,
Awesome.
A lot of it's internal communication. Some of it is working with our recruiting department, whatever. And so that's part of the reason why I wanted to do this episode, since the guest star is Law. And, a great, in the original run, he was a military police, and now he's, now he's works for whatever sheriff's department. So I figured it was thematically appropriate for me to be on this episode, even though I'm not law enforcement.
I think that's great. I think that totally works. I didn't realize that when you had first requested us. I think it's totally a great fit. And Law is awesome. He shows up on this. He's like the one good cop. Or not one. There's a few other, but he's like the one good cop that has dialogue. And,
right.
And he's great, and it's so good. I do love that they're doing this in Renegades, where they're bringing in, the old school, the alt universe versions of all these dudes that we love. I think that's really smart of them to do.
I mean, it totally makes sense that, in the 80s, it seemed like G.I. Joe had this huge cast of characters. And, so maybe you would get an episode that, like the one we did before, was kind of highlighting Dial Tone and Shipwreck and Footloose, I think. And so, like, those three, that was kind of their highlight episode. And then the next episode would highlight some other Joes. I love what Renegades is doing, that it's, it's a small core team, which G.I. Joe kind of in the 2000s, 2010s, that was kind of their go-to format.
Mm-hmm.
But then with this, it's every episode, there's one or two kind of nods to, another character from the lore that kind of showing up in a more civilian aspect. Doc was actually a doctor.
Yeah.
Grunt was, a vet, not a veterinarian, a veteran. And yeah, so they just find reasons to pull these people in and have little cameos. I think that's great. It's original. It still pays tribute to the series lore. Yeah, I really like the format that Renegades is taking.
I agree. I love when properties do that, when they acknowledge what came before and they fill the roster of, background characters with this stuff. I mean, why not do it? Why invent a random brand new cop who's just like, hey man, I'm a good cop here, and be like, no, we can just use him. Even the episode we did a couple episodes ago, which I really liked, it was the Dreadnoks one where they go to that small town. Like, there's room there. You easily could have made the small town people, the boy. I don't even know who, but like just a young G.I. Joe, like Hit and Run, whatever Hit and Run's name was.
Yeah.
Like you could have made him a young Hit and Run, and they leave and be like, maybe I'll join the military, kind of a thing. I'm all for that. I think that's really cool.
Well, and it's I think we're all bummed that there's not more G.I. Joe serial content or movie content.
Oh sure, yeah.
And I think I hear people talking online like, oh, we need something to suck in the new generation. And yes, I agree. But then a lot of other people are like, oh, I just wish they would make the Marvel comics but a TV show. I'm like, well, I mean, I don't want to yuck your yum, but it's like we have those stories. I don't necessarily need to see them in an animated form, but this, I feel like it's not the Marvel stories, but I do like that it's a bridge between something new and pulling in something old.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The more we get into this, and I think I've said this literally on every show, but I don't mean to beat a dead horse in my opinion, but it really cements every time I watch this. I think the biggest thing that's missing for me in Renegades is any ounce of fun. That sounds super snarky, and I don't mean it to be as snarky as possible as it is, but there's no silliness to it.
I think in this episode you're wrong. I think Scarlett.
No, you're right. I take that back. You're right. Scarlett's very funny. That's those are funny bits.
It starts as a little cringe, but the payoff.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. But there's no like bigger picture wise. There's no like zany. There's no sense of hyper reality to this world. It just feels real. And that's it's a little dour. It's a little dour for me in watching this, of being like, if I were, and I'm not a kid, so I don't know what they're like, but I'm trying to think of the things that they're watching, like, like your Pokemon shows, but like your One Piece or your any kind of the Dragon Ball Z, like those kinds of shows. And I know it's a different genre, so I don't want it to be like anime or manga. But what there is on those shows is there's a hyper reality to them.
So I mean, I will say that at the time Renegades was airing, my daughter was watching. She was way into My Little Pony, and so I watched a lot of that. And that I felt like that had a good balance of, I mean, it was fun, it was accessible, but then also, there was like a moral to it. And I feel like they could have, and obviously My Little Pony is skewed towards a very different audience, even an age audience, than Renegades was, even though they were airing at the same time. So I'm not expecting them to be the same, but maybe that pendulum did swing a little more serious.
And I think
Renegades.
these days with the Energon stuff, I think they understand that, because the introduction of Energon and Transformers in space and all this stuff, but just the concept, we'll just say the concept of Energon and how that changes the world. That's the craziness, I think, that sends it over the edge. I've said this before on the show too. When I first moved out to California, we did a thing, whatever, and I ended up in a chat with Ross Ritchie, who was the Boom Studios publisher and chief guy, and we were talking about comics and the John Carpenter books and how much I loved them, and he said he loved all of them, but like I really loved the Escape from New York, and Escape from, and I think socially people really really dig Escape from New York too, but he said the Big Trouble in Little China books sold so much better than the Escape from New York books. And he said the reason is in comics, and I think this does translate to cartoons a fair amount, is that you need an idea like magic or something crazy on top of whatever story you're telling. So and that just outsells. You don't always have to do it. If you want to tell a serious, grounded story, you certainly can. But if you're lining two projects up and one is very similar in tone to the other, but the one just has this idea of magic or a crazy science idea, or you fill in the blank of whatever the MacGuffin is, the idea MacGuffin. He's like, that's what sells. He goes, that's what people are just drawn more to, that because there's just this. I think it's just because there's this idea of anything can happen next, where when it's super grounded like Renegades, I'm not thinking of anything can happen. All I'm thinking of is, well, as soon as they got fingerprinted, why didn't that prison know that? And we're going to get into the show, but as soon as they got fingerprinted, why didn't that prison immediately know that they caught the most wanted fugitives in the country right now? Like that kind of a thing, because it's super super grounded. So I think that's what I'm feeling more and more as we get into these further episodes of that, and maybe that's why it didn't latch on.
Well, and I think that I don't really remember life before COVID, but I want to talk to you about that. Yeah, since then, I do feel like we, as a society, I guess, are in more need of like an escape from reality.
Oh, sure, yeah.
And so, I as much as that was true about what you said was true about Renegades back then, I think it is even more true now, that it's like, if you're going to make something, it doesn't have to just be banal and totally mindless, but you do want something that isn't, okay. So like, did you watch Andor, especially the second season?
Yeah.
Like, that hit, it felt like it hit pretty close to home.
Totally.
Which it was very timely, but it's like, if I want to be entertained, I want something that takes my mind off of all of my actual problems and not, there is some comfort to be like, oh, other people feel this way too. But
no, you're right. But also, I'll yes and that. And Andor is targeted at a mature audience. You don't see kids running around with the Andor merchandise, right?
Well, maybe.
Do they? Andor?
It's Star Wars. It's Star Wars, so I think that parents will buy anything for their kids.
That is true. Man, I just finished watching the Darth Maul thing.
We haven't started that yet.
Oh yeah. It's no spoilers, but it's cool. But there was something about it that just is. Yeah, and I'm bitching about Star Wars. I don't mean to do that, but old man, get off my lawn. There's a great fight at the end though. That's legit. So
last May the 4th, my daughter, who was 11 at the time, was like, hey, I hear people talking about Star Wars. Can we watch, some Star Wars? I'm like, okay, you're 11. This is the perfect age. And so we started, and because I'm a nerd, we were watching the whole thing chronologically.
Sweet.
And so it's taken us a year, and I think tonight.
So first you put in 40 hours into the video game Knights of the Old Republic.
Well, no. So we're only doing like TV and movies.
Right.
And like animated shorts or whatever. Anything that's on well, actually not anything that's on Disney Plus, because I did make her watch the holiday special.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was
That's
rough.
Yeah.
But anyway, the point is that so we started last May the 4th, and tonight I think we're finishing Return of the Jedi. So
Amazing.
yeah,
It's so funny.
Star Wars is on my mind.
That last night I got a phone call. So I have a delightfully dear friend who I need to get on this podcast one day because she doesn't know anything about any of this stuff. But she's one of the most entertaining, fun women in the world, person in the world. But she's just a delightful woman. Suzanne Pohl. You're never going to hear this shout out. Suzanne, she has some wonderful nephews, and about a year ago, she's like, Joe, I'm gonna her and her sister are they're her sister's kids. I'm gonna introduce them to Star Wars. So I've been giving her Star Wars prep for a year and what order to watch them, how to deal with any questions they have, all that stuff. And literally last night I got a phone call with all the questions they had after watching episode 1. And I was just dropping Star Wars bombs on Suzanne and her sister, and it was the funniest conversation. Because they were so into it, because they love their kids so much, these 3 kids, they really finally, I was like, finally someone wants to hear all this dumb stuff that's in my brain. Someone wants me to to give the history of size noodles. Someone wants to, someone wants to hear me talk about, the betrayal of Padme and why Vader may or may not really recognize his own droid, all this stuff. Like, it was really funny. So that was last night. That was last night's conversation.
That's funny.
Yeah. So good for you. You're introducing them to that stuff. So before we get into the show, I do want to ask you, were you were working health during COVID?
Right.
Did you, and was that crazy for you? Did that was it because of your position? Was it overwhelming? Was it what was that impact you had working for medical, the telehealth stuff during the worst pandemic of our lifetimes?
So actually, I'm going to say, because we had started doing some telehealth stuff, it started with urgent care, and then we were just rolling out, some I've lost the word, some primary care doctor stuff. So I think we started rolling that out in 2018, 2019. So we gratefully had set ourselves up for success. And so that when the pandemic hit, we're like, hey, we don't need to freak out. We already have some systems in place.
Awesome.
And so, the supply chain stuff, I mean, that kind of threw us for a loop.
That's crazy.
There's not much we could have done about that anyway. But yeah, and then it was just, it wasn't the healthcare stuff that was a problem. It was not even political stuff, but it was just the world changed, and then our policies and procedures and stuff had to change with it. And so, the healthcare stuff, it was remarkably smooth sailing.
Oh, great. That's great.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Cause it was such a stressful time. It was a stressful time on everybody, but specifically people in the healthcare industry where not only are you and I know you're not in the trenches with it, but you're, as an employee of it, you're also being vilified left and right, literally left and right, because you're either not doing enough, or you're daring us. You're how dare you push your agenda on us and ask us to cover our spit,
right?
For something that we don't really even understand, and maybe it'll work, but maybe it won't work. But how can it not hurt? How can it not help?
Right.
By less spitting on people, how can that not help?
Less spitting is always good.
Yeah, right. So you and your cohorts and just your industry were getting vilified at every turn, and that had to be mentally taxing.
Yes. I will say that, because in Salt Lake City, I don't feel like especially early days, we were not hit particularly hard. So a lot of our doctors and nurses went to New York City to help out and give some of those doctors who were exposing themselves to COVID, like to give them a break and let them like quarantine and recover. And so, yeah, there were a lot of our doctors that, because Utah wasn't hit nearly as hard, they were able to go and help out some of their colleagues. So, cool. that was really cool. And
That's
so,
cool.
yeah.
Yeah. And then you were like, I'm out.
Well, like I said,
I'm going to the other. I'm going to the other completely non-controversial organization, the police department.
Right. And so something about that, like talking to a lot of our officers. I'm not a law enforcement officer. I'm support. But talking to them, they are from all across the political spectrum, but mostly their view is like we don't actually care about federal law enforcement. In fact, almost universally, they think that a lot of federal law enforcement, not just in the last, let's say, 2 years or even longer than that, like whether it's immigration control or the FBI, like they just make everything harder for local law enforcement. Like mostly what we respond, like we do traffic safety, we do domestic, abuse calls, like stuff like that. It is very, intimate, very personal.
Oh yeah.
And it's just, we're trying to just keep our neighborhoods safe.
Yeah.
We do not have like some grand agenda. We're just very basic in our just trying to be good neighbors and and so while that is our general mindset, we do recognize that there are other players in the law enforcement space in the United States that kind of, and again, I think really for the last few years, but even going back decades, it has been getting worse and worse and giving local law enforcement a bad name.
Well, it's a great segue to really getting into talking about this episode. And we're gonna, ladies and gentlemen, it's a watch along. So we're going to do in a few minutes we'll do 1, 2, 3, and we'll start and we'll hit play. But just to kind of preload what it is the Joes get caught up in something and Duke ends up going to a prison, and what I think one of the aspects of one of the many touch points of what you're talking about is the for-profit prison system that we have in this country, and that's it's funny that they don't say that in this, and since law is a cop.
That's a pretty heavy topic for a.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Right. But I was thinking, because law is a cop, but he's working there, then this one's probably isn't. But I feel like they could have gone there with it being a Cobra for-profit like prison. Like Cobra's missing from this episode.
That's
and
true.
I wonder if that was a point of discussion, because, for-profit prisons have been around for a while. And what happens with the for-profit prison system is you need prisoners to make a profit. And, just looking at it clinically, that means they need people to commit crimes. And if you use a football analogy, on every single play, someone does something wrong.
Yep.
Every single play, someone's holding, someone's violating some form of rule, right? But they don't all get called and they don't all get caught because the refs are like, yeah, that's not harming anyone.
Or in a in a more direct law enforcement way, I've ridden along with police officers and they say, oh yeah, we'll follow this car for a minute or two and I will and they just start naming all the things that, some driver is like, am I going to pull them over? No.
Right.
Because in 2 minutes, there'll be someone coming around this corner going 77 in a 35 mile an hour zone. And
yes.
I need to stop the guy who's doing egregious problems and not just the guy who's a little thoughtless.
Yeah. And now imagine, let me to wrap up that analogy. Imagine if the referees were paid every time they threw the flag.
Oh,
right.
That would change it.
That's the analogy. So the referee gets paid every time a flag throws. But we're playing it straight. Like, the referees are doing their job. The referees are not crooked or anything. But they're like, yeah, every time you throw a flag, you're going to get paid. But you can only really do it if they actually violate the rules. And the refs are like, yeah, we're totally going to only do it when the rules are violated. It would be an unplayable game.
Yeah.
It would be an unplayable game. And so that's kind of this social construct balance that we have in America, where we have so many rules and laws that there has to be a place of, livable. It has to be a livable game. It has to be, and with for-profit prisons, it drives the financial incentive to make it an unplayable game.
Well, and I bet that none of us go a whole day without breaking a law.
Totally.
And so it's like, are we all guilty? Yeah. But also, we just kind of need to chill and like realize we're all in this together. We're all just trying to, at the end of the day, put some food on the table, roof over our heads, and just not go crazy. And
I am very, very far, because my best friend, since I've been like 6 years old, he's a cop. I grew up with I'm very far from the whole, like ACAB world. Like, I'm not that person at all. But I am a firm believer in, what's the saying? You judge a society by how they treat their prisoners.
Oh yeah.
And I think there's so much reform that can and should be done. And when you were just saying about how it's a local thing, I mean, that's it. Every single crime that's committed, and I'm sitting here trying to think of one that isn't, is personal at some level.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's a global crime, it all starts with one person or two people or three people deciding on a personal level to make what would be a mistake, to a violation, a law break, whatever.
Well, and those, big serious crimes, even those people, if their behavior had changed 20 years earlier, when they were just starting getting out and they realized they could get away with breaking some minor laws, like the world would be a different place if we were able to, curb all bad behavior.
Right.
We wouldn't have any serious problems.
And so and the sweeping judgments that we make about how criminals are and who criminals are.
Oh yeah.
That's the thing I think that hurts us as a society.
Because most of them are probably just in a no-win situation.
Correct. Everyone is different. But there's this label that, I have a friend on the other side of the spectrum who, was will not get into details, but was involved in something that actually did happen. And it did. There's no denying that this crime happened. But there were some very real reasons for it happening. And they have fought a legal battle for well over a decade to be exonerated, and let out of jail. And watching that struggle has been painful because
once you're in, I feel like the system is not very forgiving.
Yeah, just to not be super super vague, it was a domestic abuse situation. So no one's denying the facts. No one is denying the facts, but they're not a bad person.
And the system, broadly, the American justice system is not great at, like, I don't know if forgiveness is the right word, but like, people change. I'm not the same person I was the last time we talked. And,
right.
And I didn't even go commit some crime or whatever.
Right.
Like,
I mean, it's the idea of whether you look at prison, is prison supposed to be punishment or is prison supposed to be for reform? Because we live
I think it does great at either.
Right, exactly. And I don't know that I know I don't want a prison system that punishes. I want a prison system that removes problems from society and helps them to reform. That's what I want.
And of course, like, people who are on one side of the problem will always say, and they are right, that there will always be people who know there's no amount of reform that will change some people.
Totally.
And,
Yeah.
yeah. But you can't paint everyone by,
Yeah.
the worst of our brushes.
And there are consequences when they don't reform.
Right.
You can't, this isn't Minority Report, as much as I love that movie.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You can't red ball it. You don't know. You can predict, you can guess. You can be like, man, I bet you that guy's going to do something bad. But you don't know. You don't know their heart. And And on an individual level, but that all takes time. That all takes time, energy, effort, and money. And the money's not going to help reform people. The money's going to the people to just cage them, and incarcerate them and back, etc.
That's because you don't make money off of reforming people.
Right.
Yeah,
that's true.
It's true. That's a related but different problem with our society.
Yeah, no, you're right. No, I mean, well, yes and no. I mean, you do and you don't. You don't make money off reforming people, and yet there is a cottage industry built around helping people, but it's not really helping people. Right. You know what I mean? Not helping them in the right way, like in the anyway.
So Joe, let me tell you that before I worked for a hospital system, I worked at a residential treatment center for teenage boys overcoming drug and alcohol addiction.
Holy cow! So, you're hitting all the buttons today.
So I know that industry as well.
That's
how problematic that is.
Correct. That's kind of where my brain was going. Yes. You said it more specifically. Yeah. Yeah. Again, and that's to, it's punishing because we can't punish you as an adult. So we're going to punish you as a, whatever. It's tough, man. Life is tough. And the more grace we can find for people, and it's not to say you don't pay your dues, because you do. You should pay your dues for the things you do, for sure. But it's so hard to want to clean up the wreckage of your past. Like when someone genuinely wants to do that, you got to give them the chance. You got to give them every opportunity.
And I don't know that the systems are, the systems might be there, but they're not easily accessible.
No, they're not. And then the social rhetoric around criminality is once a criminal, always a criminal, So they may have done something to get them on whatever side of the law. So therefore they've now given up all rights to whatever constitutional protections they have, illegal search and seizure, this, that, and the other. And it just can't be the case, man, because every one of us has done something in our lives.
Probably today.
Every one of us has done something that if the referee was there with the yellow flag and they had thrown it, you would be in trouble. We've all driven drunk. Right?
Or even 1 mile over the speed limit.
Yeah.
That's breaking the law.
We've all sped. We've all driven in states where you get home and you're, I'm just saying that I don't drink really anymore, but I'm 50, we've all been in situations where you're like, all right, I got to get home, but maybe I shouldn't. And you make it home and you're like, oh boy, I'm never doing that again. Right. And
this time I mean it.
Yeah. Right. And it's always a sliding door away. So the more as human beings, so I'm going to speak for me, the more as a person, as I get older and trying to be chiller, that I can put myself in those shoes of like, I could have gotten in trouble, this could have gone south, when I got out of my car to yell at the cops who were following me for legitimately no good reason. This happened once in the city. It didn't dawn on me till later that because I was white, I'm sure I got away with it. But like, had I been a different color and I came out of my car as aggressive as I did, because I was hot, because they were following me around my own neighborhood for no reason. And had I gotten out of the car that aggressive and not been just a big dopey looking white guy, it might have ended poorly.
Yeah. And, I can't speak to cops in LA, but yeah, I mean, sometimes, like I said earlier, cops know that they can follow a car and it won't take very long for that person to just do something and write them a ticket. And so I'm sure that there are police out there who are like, hey, because we all do this at our own jobs of like, oh, I have to do something so that my boss knows that I'm actually doing my job. And, for some professions, that means interacting, what's the right word? Like proactively interacting with people and not just waiting for them to like come to your customer service counter or whatever.
Yeah.
So
outreach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that there are some police out there who are like, oh, I need to make sure that my boss knows that I'm doing my job, and it won't take them long to find someone who they can write a ticket for.
Yeah.
So.
Well, listen, I'm so glad that this conversation got so dark and deep because it's
and if it doesn't make it onto the episode, that's fine too.
No. Well, so yeah, we'll wrap this up and get into the show. And listeners, if you're listening to this and either getting on either side of the argument, getting upset, that's not our intention. My intention with this conversation, I can't say I had one to start with, but it's really about the more we question this stuff in general as a society, because I think we're going in a rough direction. I think that's going to be better for all of us. Rethink some of the stereotypes and some of the ideas that we have around this topic. I think that's good, and I'm not advocating either way, but I guess I am advocating one way. I take that back. What I'm advocating for is let's just be better. Let's just be better people, and better to people who make mistakes, and better to people who and punish people who do make mistakes, but punish the right people. And mistakes from all levels of life, not just the person on the street with no money who was forced into a choice. Let's punish the rich people with every ounce of money that consciously make bad choices. Let's punish those people as well. The idea of white collar crime and blue collar crime is disgusting to me. It's disgusting to me when you look at the differences in punishment levels. Crime's a crime, and just because I physically punched you in the face and that hurt you, it doesn't mean that me stealing the money from your pension plan doesn't hurt you even worse than if I walked up and punched you in the face. Especially me, I'm 50, I'm out of shape. My punch probably wouldn't land very hard. So anyway, with all that having said, like we said at the top of the show, a little zaniness. Let's bring some zaniness into this.
I mean, I think Bill and Ted said it best. Just be excellent.
Be excellent to each other. Oh my God, I love it. I love it. Hey gang, it's me. I'm going to interject for a second here. First of all, if you listen to all of that, thank you so much. That was just an off-the-cuff conversation that two people had about life in America. I hope it was okay. There's both sides of every story, and here we are. But the reason I'm interjecting here is, one, the comedian I was thinking of earlier is Jackie Mason. Two, there's two things that I want to bring your attention to that I wanted to jump in and make sure we did it now before we got to this next episode. Next episode is Josh Egbean from the After Action Report, and they are currently running a Kickstarter for Volume 3 of the Command Files. So I didn't want to miss that window. I wanted to make sure you were aware of it. So you go to Kickstarter, help support the Command Files Volume 3. Volumes 1 and 2 were awesome. If you missed those, you can certainly buy them in arrears. So check those out. But the real reason I wanted to bring this up is our friend Jamie Sullivan, G.I. Joe cover artist extraordinaire. He's been having some medical issues for a long time. If you're kind of plugged into the Joe community, you're aware of this. Issues with his foot and literally keeping it. So they've set up an amazing dinner opportunity for you listeners. And it's really amazing. And it is only going to be for a select few people. So the price range may be out of your league. But they've prepared for that. So right now, they have set up a celebrity benefit dinner for Jamie's surgery. And it is an evening of stories, friendship, and giving back, a one-of-a-kind experience. As of this, there are 16 G.I. Joe-centric guests that are going to be at this dinner. Seats are limited. There are only 15 seats available. You heard me, 15. Tickets are $1,000 a piece. And it's out here in LA, so you got to get out to LA. So this is definitely catering to a very select group of people. However, you are going to go and have a hours long dinner hangout session, get to know session with all these G.I. Joe legends. Greg Berger, Frank Tadaro, Larry Houston, Michael Charles Hill, Buzz Dixon, Charlie Schlatter, he's Mindbender on these Renegades episodes, Livio Ramondelli, Rebecca Forstad, Dan Warren, Mike Vosberg, everybody. Bring those early G.I. Joe comics and get all of them signed. Brandon Easton, Tony Fleeks, Leilani Shu, Sean Kirkham, Big Clutch himself, Jason Canopsis Alvarez, Tom Waltz, and they're adding more as they can. All throughout the evening, anyone who attends is going to get as many autographs as you want, photos with guests, personal conversation. The food and drink is going to be amazing. We're doing some swag and giveaways there, and it's going to be one of those one-of-a-kind nights where you're going to look back and go, man, I really wish I went to that. It is scheduled for September 6th, 2026 in Pasadena, California. There are 15 $1,000 slots available. That is the VIP dinner experience. It's guaranteed attendance, photos, access to all of the list of attendees, and they're really working hard. They're going to be working hard this summer to build it up even more. And if flying out to California is a little bit much, we get that. Times are tight. They do have a second option, which is what we call the comic book grab bag package. And there's 3 tiers for this. There's a tier 1, which is it's only $50, and it's signed comics and a bunch of books. They're putting together all these great giveaway packages. Every voucher will get something once that's finalized. There's a second tier of $250 each, which includes even more comic books, including a CGC slab book, which minimum CGC slabs are minimum $50 value because it costs $50 to slab a book. You also get 10 vouchers for door prizes. So they're going to be doing door prizes. There's a third tier for $500 a piece, which is the largest. Definitely includes the CGC slab book, plus there's 20 vouchers for prizes. And one lucky comic book grab bag supporter will win admission to the whole dinner. So you could buy a $50 grab bag and get the $1,000 meal dinner. That's it. They're setting this up. Everyone who does a grab bag is going to get something good, but that one purchase will guarantee that you get an opportunity to win the raffle, so to speak, of getting the $1,000 ticket. Or, if you're a big roller out there, and I know we got them, you can just buy your ticket and come on out. So we're going to be talking more about this as we go, but this is something that's just cropped up, and it was after we had recorded this episode. So I want to interject here with a little bit of this. Go to jamiesullivan.net to check it out. Follow Jamie on his Instagrams and social medias and stuff. That you'll see him talking about it there. It's very limited, though. It's for real. They're going to fill up those 15 slots. They're going to get them filled up in the next month or so. So don't wait on it. And maybe you want to wait till after Joe convention this year, so you see how much you got left. That makes total sense. But think about the value you're going to be getting in autographs, and more importantly, the FaceTime, and get to meet and greet and maybe even befriend. Maybe you're going to leave and you're going to be like, I'm best friends with Mike Vosberg now. I don't know how that happened, but we got together and we started talking about, Highlight. And now me and Mike Vosberg are best friends. We bonded over Highlight. That might be your story, but it will be a story that you will have for the rest of your life. And you will be absolutely helping Jamie get over the finish line with this foot issue. So check it out, jamiesullivan.net. So, okay, Paul. So we're going to get into the show. All
right.
And listeners, thank you for going along with us. Again, reach out on social media, say hi, and do all that stuff. And back all the Kickstarters and do all the good, fun G.I. Joe. Participate in the G.I. Joe community. There's tons of great other podcasts out there. I guest star every few months on What's on Joe Mind, and there's Talking Joes, and there's our friends from South Africa with the G.I. Joeberg. Our boys they do great stuff. There's just a thriving G.I. Joe community out there. So if you're listening to this, I hope you're giving ears to the other places because there's just a lot of good G.I. Joe talk going on these days.
And I will say, so living in Salt Lake City, there was a decent GI Joe group that would meet up once a month, and it wasn't exclusively GI Joe, but it started as GI Joe, and they would, swap toys or comics or whatever. Like, there was a meetup, and so
Awesome.
I think that listeners, if you really want to take it one step beyond just the anonymity of the internet, like, find a local toy group or whatever, and build that community. And so, we could all use a little more human interaction.
Yeah,
in our
start
lives.
going to toy shows, and you go to the toy shows, and there'll be one person there with a QR code for like, this is my GI Joe group, and it'll be 4 people, and you're like, all right, awesome, and then you're
Great.
the 5th person, and then there's a 6th and a 7th.
Yeah, go hang out, have a couple drinks, sit around and chat Joe,
and there are so many amazing GI Joe board games right now that there's no reason that you and 4 strangers or 5 strangers, whatever number of strangers, can't sit.
They're not strangers. They're just not your friends yet.
Exactly. Can't sit around a table and play GI Joe Risk and get to know each other. Play Mission Critical, which is, I loved Mission Critical. Play
the RPG.
RPG. Heroescape just came out. The new one that they kickstarted. That's I think as of this recording, I think they said they just launched off the boats in Taiwan. It's the I forget what it's called, but it's the character, the 3D model game that's like Mission Critical, but by a different company.
This one I'm not.
Yeah, whatever
I was,
this one.
I was thinking of the other one by Renegade was the Heroescape.
Oh yeah, Heroescape just came out. Yeah, that actually launched, and then they have the deck builder game. Then this one's a new one, and it's by another different company entirely, and it's like a 3D. It's like a Heroescape type game. We were confused because they both announced sort of at the same time. But whatever that game's called, that's just announced. So there's tons of stuff that you can get together with pretty much strangers and talk GI Joe and just live in this world. And during that time, then you don't have to think about the differences. You don't have to think about maybe that guy loves pay for profit prisons. Maybe that guy loves the blue haired liberals. I don't care, because we're talking about we're talking about Snake Eyes. And
Right.
Is Snake Eyes better than Storm Shadow? Yes. But is he a better fighter? I don't know. That's debatable. Storm Shadow's pretty awesome. But Snake Eyes is better than Storm Shadow.
Well, unless you're watching the Snake Eyes origin movies, and then I don't think so. I think Storm Shadow was a better person.
He was an absolute better person. He was 100% the hero of that movie. Storm Shadow was. He was the hero of that movie that got screwed over. Snake Eyes was a liar to start with, and he brought about the downfall of the Urashikage clan. Period.
Yeah,
that's what he did.
We're not rehashing that movie. But
No,
I think if they had fixed that aspect of Snake Eyes' character, I think we all would have, been more okay with the giant snakes or the magic rock or whatever.
Or the only time he actually looks like Snake Eyes is the final 10 seconds of the movie.
Oh, I was anticipating that. Like, this is an origin movie. Like, he's not going to put on the suit until the very end. Like, I was fine with that.
Good God. But you give me the third act, though. Your job is the third act.
Oh, sure.
That's the job. I don't need them all movie. The third job is the job is the third act. He gets the suit and is like, now I have to fight, and now I look like this dude.
Yeah.
To save it for the final moments of getting on a motorcycle, and it's essentially a motorcycle helmet, is insanity to me. I don't care how handsome Henry Golding is. It is insane to me. You have one job, people. You're making a movie around a character that literally is popular because of the way he looked. When that character dropped, we didn't know anything about him. Like, he didn't have an attitude. He didn't have anything. He was mysterious. We didn't know who he was, and he looked awesome. And people were like, that's my guy. That's less than more so than Wolverine, more so than Deadpool. They all had personality traits that people were like, oh yeah, he's got a mysterious background, but Wolverine's angry, and Wolverine's this, and Wolverine's
Deadpool has enough, personality for like 12 other people.
Yeah, and Wolverine looks cool, but he's got these like Snake Eyes was literally a plastic, unpainted piece of plastic that looked amazing, and we were like, this guy. And so you do your movie and you avoid that look for the entirety of the movie. I don't get it.
Yeah. He should have put on like maybe not a ski mask or a mask with some goggles or something just for that final fight.
That weapon, the energy thing they were dealing with, that should have blasted his face. First of all, that's what should have blasted his face at some point near in the third, maybe the start of third act or in the end of the second act or something, and then he would have been like, well, I can't go into battle looking like this. Let me put this mask on, and then he's Snake Eyes. That's it.
Yeah,
that's it. That's your movie. That's all we need. It's not very hard. Fire everyone involved in not doing that.
I mean, I do think that is less of a problem than them getting just the whole character wrong of him being a liar, a backstabber. Just yeah.
You know what? I'm going to say no. I'm going to disagree with you on that. No, I'm definitely. I'm going to disagree with you on that because there's different iterations of Snake Eyes over the years, different universes. You can interpret stories a different way. I agree with you that I think it was a bad choice to make your hero not really a good dude. I agree with you that that's a bad choice, but I don't think that's the biggest.
Not be a hero at all.
Yeah, I don't think that's the biggest problem of the movie.
Okay, well,
I don't. I really don't. I don't think we walked away being like, oh no, I walked away from that movie going, where's Snake Eyes? There's a level of dumb that needs to be there. That's not, and dumb is a dude in a mask cutting people down and looking awesome. That covers so many sins when you walk out of that theater. You'd be like, oh, the second act dragged, but boy, that third act was dope. But you know what? That's why there's vanilla and that's why there's chocolate.
Yep, that's right. And it turns out I don't like chocolate at all, but I'm glad that you do.
Right? So anyway, all right. Wow, we've gone off track so much. We're going to get back into Renegades Busted.
I'm a big fan of What's on Joe Mind, and so these tangents, that's just par for the course.
That's why they bring me on. They're like, when we need a 3.5 hour episode, let's get Joe on, because I will talk. Okay, so listeners, get ready to hit play. Get your cue. This is on YouTube. They host the videos on Renegade on YouTube for now. They announced that there's that new media partnership, so who knows if that'll change anytime soon. So, but for now, you absolutely can find them on YouTube. Very easy to find. So get ready to hit play, and here we go. A nice moonlit night. Car trouble. Roadblock can't.
Here's the problem.
I love this look.
That's the primary power cable for the truck's electronics.
Yeah, Scarlett, you were right. Scarlett's really good. She's the comedy relief in this episode. She's very deadpan. They use her really well in this. This is a funny moment. So there's funny moments, but there's not zany, crazy ideas. But you're right. You're right. There are funny moments, like Roadblock thinking, like, yeah, I'll just rewire this hypertech.
Every piece of cable is can serve the same
wire's
purpose.
wire. And as the viewer, you're watching this going like, oh my god, yeah, he can fix this. And then no, he can't. Roadblock can't.
Because in the 80s, that absolutely would have worked. I mean, if MacGyver taught us nothing, you don't even need that.
Yeah. So now they go to a mechanic and they need a special part for this special Cobra truck, right? And remember, it is branded a Cobra truck because even though it has the hologram abilities, that hologram isn't turned on right now. So they know it's a Cobra truck. So they're at this chop shop.
Let's say 500.
And this creepy dude wants another $500 to install it on top of the $500 that he's charging him for this wire set, which probably costs him about $20. The Snake Eye shows up out of nowhere, points to the door. Here's a problem I have with this. When the ninja shows up and points to the door, don't ask why. Just head to the door.
What he says.
Do what he says.
What he signals.
Yes.
Because he famously doesn't say anything.
Yes. Correct.
Accused of a crime they didn't commit. A ragtag band of fugitives fights a...
Correct. So he drops some smoke bombs and they escape. He grabs... Snake Eyes is able to rescue everyone except for Scarlett.
Some call them outlaws. Some call them heroes. But these determined men and women think of themselves only as ordinary Joes.
Now, coming from a local law enforcement, I think that if the Joes would have stood there, I mean, obviously they're wanted, but if they would say, hey, like, we don't know what's going on, then I bet a lot of cops would have just interviewed him and let him go. But once you hit a cop, then
yeah. And I'm sorry, I said except for Scarlett. They caught Duke. They didn't. Scarlett got away. So I apologize for that. Yeah, I don't know about that. I kind of think they're all there. But my question is, who set them up? You know, did you think
chop shop and the cops were going to be there anyway?
But do you think the first guy that sent him there was a snitch?
Oh,
that's what I'm saying. Like, it's good timing.
Hey, I'm not with them.
Right. You came in for directions.
The roadblock still doesn't know how to install it. So the cable probably works fine.
Oh, no, he hasn't installed
it. Oh,
he
hasn't installed it yet. Right. He actually hasn't installed it yet.
They sold us a bad cable?
In case you haven't noticed, they're criminals.
Actually, these things don't install themselves. It's going to take a while, y'all.
Couple things. They could have fought their way out and just defeated every one of those cops. But I like that they didn't, because they're not here to beat up law enforcement.
Right.
Second thing is, there is a character model that's amongst the Chop Shop crew that is absolutely based off of Cobra Commander's disguise from the G.I. Joe run of like the mid-'60s when he and Destro escaped from the pit.
Oh, you're right.
With the long mustache and the glasses and the beret or stupid hat. One of those dudes is modeled 100% after that, and I think it's great.
This Scarlett trying to bluff this, government worker. This is terrible. I would like to think that Scarlett, who's an intelligence officer, would at least do a little pre-planning to be like, okay, what's my pretend name? What am I going to go and say? What is Duke's cover name? You know, because
I
she can't just go and say.
She's a little unprepared for this. It's funny.
It makes the rest of her story arc for this episode better.
Yeah, it definitely shows her character loosening up a little bit, which I think is fun.
Joe, I have a question.
Yeah.
How did these guys get their truck off the street and to wherever it is now? Like, it's
another good question. I don't know the answer to that. Because I don't know.
A little continuity problem. I think this is a little better for Scarlett. She's like, okay, I have a little more of a plan.
Yeah, this is more of the bluff that you expect in situations like this.
Yeah.
As funny as the one with the lady is, what always bothers me is, like, what this guy does, it's call security, why the lady didn't do that immediately. Because they always play it that the old lady is the smartest one in the conversation, because she's been around. Like, they do it all the time in movies. Why isn't she calling the cops? Because that lady just tried to bust out someone who shouldn't have been busted out. Aren't you like, let me call security a little bit?
Oh, now here's Tunnel Rat, who's actually doing his job.
It's a great use. I love that he stinks.
I did a little recon.
In the sewers?
I think that this is my best my favorite representation.
I think I found a way to spring
like
Duke.
The Sigma 6 one, that was just annoying.
What was he like? What was he like in Sigma 6? I haven't delved. I have them. I haven't really gone down that route much.
I haven't watched it, in 20 years because I just remember being annoyed by it.
Yeah.
But like, in the movie, like, he was just kind of a nothing.
Oh yeah. He was fun in the movie, but I agree. I think this is I like that they keep using Tunnel Rat. I think he's a fun character because there's a lot of room for comedy because of the sewer stuff. It's a little bit of an antisocial. Ooh, there's your guy. There's Law and Order.
Oh yeah, there's Law and Order.
So we also just saw that back at the Joe headquarters or whatever headquarters they're at, Lady J got a fax showing that Duke was imprisoned. So if Lady J is getting a notification of this, how does this warden not know who Duke? What's that?
Most importantly, she hid it from Flint.
Yeah, she hid it from Flint. But how does the warden not realize? And think they're going to get away with this and not know who Duke is?
Well, later he calls him out specifically, and like he says, "I know who you are." But why he doesn't think that the army is going to come and arrest him?
That's what I'm saying.
Like he can't count on Lady J hiding.
Right.
Duke is here.
That's my point. Like he may know who he is, but then why do you think you can bring him to your illegal fight club? Which is nuts. And so there's that guy too. We just saw him.
Joe.
Yeah.
Joe, first rule of Fight Club is
you don't talk about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we just saw that the chop shop guy that looks like Cobra Commander. This is the scene where I really looked at him and went, "Oh, that's Cobra Commander. That's great." So they get into a fight in the yard, and what is neat and fun about the cartoons is they don't have a lot of breathing room, so there isn't a lot of room for like the stuff that maybe a movie would flesh out a little more, right?
Nope.
So they go directly from getting in a fight in the yard to we're taking you to a fight club that's happening inside, which is awesome. Like that's cartoons, that's comic books, that's cartoons, that's what they do. So we get confirmation that Law and Order are guards at this prison,
and that they don't like what's going on.
No, they don't. And they open the door, and it is not just that the prison runs a fight club. They're literally in the middle of a fight club. There are people watching it right now. They're waiting for fighters. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not like we're going to throw you in a cell and Saturday night we're going to have our fight club. It is happening right now.
And it's like, who are these, spectators?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Are they other prisoners? Are they civilians? And what is happening here?
Are these some rich guys who are paying for this?
Is it a hostile situation like the movie Hostel? We overlooked this. This whole show is a reference to and a reminder of when in the original series, the first miniseries, when Duke gets captured and put in the fight club,
the
arena of sport. Yeah. And they reference that with the guard says a line of dialogue that is a quote from that first miniseries. So I think that's really cool with this, that what they're doing with this. Except Duke doesn't have a handy ring that has a communicator that then is never mentioned for the next 100, or I think it's mentioned one other time in the next miniseries, and then never again referenced for the next 120 episodes.
It's like, why isn't that just standard issue?
Yeah, right. Why doesn't everyone have one?
Oh, because that's not good storytelling.
Yeah. So Duke doesn't really fight. Like he wins the fight by not fighting. So the warden's like, dude, you got to fight.
Well, and I think that's when the warden says, hey, I know who you are, and I'll just turn you over to the military.
Yes. But why don't you realize the military is going to come get him?
Yeah. Why don't you silo him?
They've got to be on super priority. There's a task force chasing him. It's not just, hey, if you see this guy, call us. There's a task force chasing this guy.
Yeah,
this
because
team.
Again, local law enforcement really doesn't want any federal law enforcement coming and messing with their stuff. So why don't you just keep all your stuff separate?
If I'm the warden and this falls into my lap, what I say is, hey guys, our fight clubs are canceled for the next week while we get rid of this dude.
Yeah.
Get him out of my hair, and then we're going to go back to having local yokels beat the crap out of each other.
It's virtually
or immediately
how
put
do
him
we
in a
get one to
transport vehicle.
It's not for Duke.
Get him out of your system.
So the Joes need an inside person to break into the prison. So they have Roadblock get into a fight with some cops, and they take him into the prison. This is the part that I always question in all of these movies. They do it in Fast and Furious. They do it in almost I think they did it in almost every prison movie. When someone has to break into prison, they get into a fight. How do you know that you're going to be put into that prison that day and in that cell block? You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Like none of it ever makes sense to me. And I'm not talking about GI. This is the cartoon for cartoon's sake. I'm talking about bigger picture stuff. When they do it
into a trope.
Yeah, like they do it in Fast and Furious. When he has to go talk to that drug dealer about why Letty's alive. And he punches the Fed, that he's kind of friends with from back in the day. Like, how does he go from that to being immediately thrown into this secure lockdown? Don't you spend like a month in a local thing where you get arraigned and get put in front of judges? You know what I mean?
Well, so
you go immediately to the Supermax. That's weird to me.
This may be the sheriff's county lockup. I don't actually know, but also it's a kids cartoon, and maybe they just have kind of
100%. Yeah, I am saying all of that with the caveat of I get it. It's not necessarily for this cartoon, and I get a lot, but those are the things that I think about, that I'm like, in the writer's room, do they talk about that and think that we'll just overlook it? Or, you know what I mean? They're like, well, how do we get him in the prison? Have him beat up a bunch of people. Yeah, but that'll take like a month of processing to even get him in the prison, let alone in the cell block. Can't we figure out a different way? And then they fire that writer and they bring in someone else who's just like, yeah, we'll just throw him in there.
I think that it probably goes to show that most screenwriters have never been to jail.
No, that's also that. Yeah. So while Roadblock's in the fight club with Duke, they're going at it.
Tunnel Rat's
tunneling with just a pickaxe. That is some fast tunneling. Now, I get that.
Well, I do think that later he shows that he has some explosives.
He does, but that's to break the floor open.
And I think that would be really
Snake Eyes, Tunnel Rat, hold your positions. Our Boy Scouts on another mission.
The prison would know something was up when they periodically hear some.
Yeah, so I don't think he's using the explosions to tunnel. I think he's shoveling, and that's a lot, man. You got to get a backhoe. You got to get a backhoe down there, man. So like, and again, ladies and gentlemen, I do not mean this like as a nitpick to nitpick the cartoon. I think it's just that because it's such a real cartoon, because there is this, and this goes back to my original feeling on this, because they're going for realism, those questions crop up. In a world of lasers, I don't think about that, because I know that they have these crazy lasers that they could just show up down there and do, and break in, right? In a world of realism, heightened realism, but realism, I go, well, what about the judge? What about the magistrate? What about the bail? What about the, like there's a weird balance, and I don't know that Renegades hits that balance.
Speaking of, so Scarlett just came in dressed up like
so good.
Has been knocked up, but when the guards come out to, I don't know, take care of her, Snake Eyes is already behind that door.
Yeah. So
how did he get in there?
Right.
And
so
why wouldn't he just let her in?
Correct. If he could just break in, why isn't he just breaking and gassing everyone and getting her in there? Also, they missed a huge opportunity when she's pregnant. Why does she not pull all the guns out of her belly?
Oh yeah.
That's the move, because later on they have Tunnel Rat with this big duffel bag, which is, it's a fun moment. He throws the duffel bag and it's everyone's gun. But like,
maybe what Scarlett is doing, I'm not saying that I ever illegally snuck food into a movie theater, but just in case someone may have done that. Maybe when you were in high school, you had a friend who borrowed her sister's maternity pants and snuck in a watermelon into the movie theater. Again, not saying that this actually happened.
Sure.
So maybe Scarlett's just bringing along a snack for later.
Yeah, she's like, Duke's probably going to be hungry. We know that prison rations aren't great.
Oh, sure.
So he's probably going to need a good Clark bar, So let's bring him something. So the Joes are now doing the full-on infiltration. Snake Eyes drops some smoke. They're breaking up the fight club. We see that Flint and Lady J are like nearing the prison, and the warden knows that they're there. So
I think there's a line coming up here that is one of the best lines of the episode.
That's a great line. Yeah. How long have I been inside? Is that the line you're thinking of?
Yeah.
It's a great line. It's so good.
Again, Scarlett just very dry. Like, nope.
Yeah. And that was the moment. That was the moment I thought she was going to reach up into her belly and either pull out guns or pull out their uniforms.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So now you gab the rest of the fight with them in their uniforms. Like how long was I in there? And you just see her reach up into her belly and pop out their clothing and be like, get dressed, let's go. Like something like that is a payoff to having her be pregnant, other than just the visual of her running around pregnant is kind of funny. And I know later we have to have her be pregnant too, but they're all
you're right.
But that's okay. I mean, she can still have the belly on, but that belly should be smuggling something 100%. Missed opportunity.
Head for the south wall.
Nothing better than a pregnant woman smuggling something.
And this is a terrible idea. So not only does he not separate, his radioactive, politically radioactive prisoner from his underground street fight, now he is actively firing upon the military troops.
Firing upon U.S. military, yes.
This is the worst idea I've ever heard.
I'm willing to go out on a limb and say this warden's not very good at being a warden. But I'll say this, though. Make this a Cobra funded profit prison, right? So it's a Cobra prison, Then that all makes sense. And it makes so much more sense. And I don't see any Cobra branding on this episode. Like he's not a Cobra prison. Maybe they cut it. Maybe when they were making it, they were like, it's a little long and we just need to cut the Cobra parts. But if this guy's a Cobra operative, then all of this makes a lot more sense. All of it makes a lot more sense. But there's no Cobra branding anywhere.
Even if just he was a Cobra operative and the rest of it was, the county lockup or whatever.
Right. And the Fight Club was streaming on like Cobra.com, like it was a Cobra streamed moneymaker. Show us that webcast. Like show us a quick shot of the video screen and like money being, illegal gambling changing hands on that, with a Cobra logo. All of a sudden, so much of this makes a little bit more sense. Again, because you're trying to ground this in this reality,
I do think that, Flint here, he does see like, I'm letting these guys I've been chasing get away. But I think the bigger problem is, all these escaped prisoners. So I do think that was a good call on Flint's part.
Totally.
And, he's probably not going to see that these the Joes are helping to contain these prisoners, but
yeah, I think and this is I agree. I like that they coordinate and then they use their powers to kind of help corral these dudes. I will say this though, the military vehicle busting into the front gates of the prison, that was really easy. Like I didn't know prison gates were that simple to just drive through.
Well, maybe you're underestimating the power of a
I know you got an APC. I get it. But man, like they were like that was just like some wood craft doors. So here we go. Here's Law and Order. That's awesome. That guy looks like that outfit looks like Tripwire outfits. The MPs.
Yes,
they all look
absolutely.
like. For a second, I was like, "Are we really getting Tripwire?" That's amazing.
I think that there is a flashback in one of the episodes, and
I don't see my baby's daddy
right now. Smoog, whatever his name is name dropped.
So this is a little confusing. Lady J knows who they are here, especially because Duke gives her a look.
But I think so. There are some other MPs and stuff around, and so I think she has to act like, you guys take care of this pregnant lady, and so she doesn't just say, "Hey."
Yeah, but this part, right there.
Oh, where
she looks up.
Coyote.
So the coyote's not working, but she's looking at a document paperwork, and they show her surprised. That's the part that confused me.
I think she's just surprised that the Joes are so dumb to decloak their.
Vehicle. You think so?
I mean, I don't know.
Because it plays like she's looking at the document of the Joe Renegades, and she's looking at Scarlett's face, and she looks up and she sees Scarlett sitting in the front seat of the car.
Anything you want
and
to
there's
say,
a look on her face of like, oh my gosh,
man.
that's them.
What are you gonna name the baby?
I think because she knows that they were in there because she covered it up, and so I do think that she was just surprised like, how dumb are these guys that they're not getting away right now.
Maybe. Maybe it's more acting to cover it up, but I don't think I feel like if we cornered, like, I don't know, the editor or the writer of that episode, and we actually said to them what was going on here, I would bet that they would say there was some change or editing decision that altered it, and they couldn't redo the animation on it. Because the look on her face at the end is so like that would have been the look. That look should have been Flint.
Yes.
Flint should have been.
That should have been.
Flint should have been looking at that thing, seen Scarlett's face, and looked up and seen a pregnant woman that looked just like Scarlett, and been like, "What?" But they give it to Lady J, who 10 seconds earlier was like, "Wink, wink, let's get out of here."
And maybe she was performing for Flint.
Yeah, but then she should have. But if she's performing for Flint, she should have looked up, looked down, closed it, and said, "I don't see anything. They must have got away." Instead of they all chase after him at the end, and then the Joes do get away. You know. Like I was saying, like it's a fun episode. It is a good episode. I did enjoy it, but all those little things cropped up, and I'm like, and there's no Cobra in it, so I'm like I don't know. It's a little fun diversion episode that I was like, I don't know.
We did talk over the last line, which was Duke asking Scarlett, "What are you going to name the baby?"
Oh, that's funny.
Which, I think it's great not giving an answer to that, just sort of giving him a dirty look, but
Well, listen, Paul, this has been so much fun. Real talking and real funning. I love it. So in light of all this episode, and now you've got a whole new career, do you have an idea for who you would want to be if you were a member of the Joe or Cobra team for a code name?
So if I, in my real life, were to join the G.I. Joe team, especially in my current career, which, I'm a public information officer, so I deal a lot with the news media, and it's not that I am trying to keep secrets from the public, but I do have to, pick and choose what information to give out when, and so I do think that an appropriate name. Now, I think it would be redacted, not blacked out. I think it would be spelled out.
The name is redacted.
The name is literally R-E-D.
Yeah.
Redacted. Which also, I think that speaks to that's my kind of humor. That's like, it's a very who's on first kind of.
I think that's a great name. And can I make the suggestion that what you are is you're a government liaison to the Joe team. And while you're a part of the team, so I'm not putting you in an outsider standpoint, but you're there like sent by the government, right? To kind of keep a little watchdog. Like think of the jugglers. The jugglers are like, we're going to send in one of our guys to hang out with you, Hawk, and his name is Redacted.
I was actually thinking of from G.I. Joe Extreme, Mr. Clancy.
Oh yeah.
He's a little bit more of their government handler.
You're not wrong. No, I forgot about him. Yes. Yeah. You're totally that guy. You're like a government handler. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yes. With full military.
Closely with Scoop and who else on the Joe team?
Your military background, like you've gone through it all, but then you shifted to a life more in the intelligence era, and So Redacted. I think that's great. Well, welcome back to the Joe and Joe team. And that's the thing. Your sub story is you were a member of the Joes as Riptide years ago, and you left to join the intelligence services. And when you come back as Redacted, everyone's like, "Don't we know that guy?" I don't know. And you're so mysterious, and everything about your history has literally been redacted that no one remembers. No one pieces together that you're actually a former Joe named Riptide. And then your big story arc after you've been with the team for a couple of years is they do find out that you're Riptide. Then we get into your whole origin story, and it takes off from there. How about that?
Great.
Awesome. I love it. Absolutely great. Paul, this has been amazing. Thank you so much for joining us today on Joe and Joe.
Hey man, I'm always down to clown.
Yes, I love it. Well, let's not make it 9 years next time.
Sure, I'll call you in about 8 years.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, make it 8. Make it 8.
I mean,
30.
I don't know.
30, 34.
Yeah, I don't know how much more, at least video content.
At a certain point, one day, there's just going to be no more updates, and that's going to be because I'm going to be dead, and Rebecca will never be able to figure out how to get into the account and post an update. So who knows what'll happen? But for now, this has been another great episode of Joe on Joe. Great because of my guest. I'll let you decide the quality of it, but I've enjoyed it so much. It really had a great conversation. I hope you guys did too. and enjoying the heck out of Renegades. I really am. Even the nitpicks here are just more of a looking back on it 15 years later, going, what were they going for, and what are the questions that leads up to. It's a fun episode, and Renegades has been a real lot of fun to watch. So
yeah, I mean, the production quality is great. The script writing is, I think, like Sunbow, they have more ideas than they can cram into 22 minutes, and so I'm sure that some things get left on the writing room floor or whatever. And but it's I like it better than Resolute.
Yeah, it's solid. It's solid. So, Paul, thank you so much, or rather, Redacted. Thank you so much for being a guest on Joe on Joe.
Hey, thanks for having me.
And now you, Joe, and Joeing is half the battle.